Everyone knows about the speed of sound, but have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? Drive too fast and you could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing. Because one way or another, speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
At LensCrafters, we value expertly tailored eye care, provide state-of-the-art eye exams, offer a wide assortment of designer brands and high-quality lenses. Because everything we do at LensCrafters is for every sight that makes your life special. We offer 50% off lenses with frame purchase. Shop in-store and online. Book your annual eye exam now on LensCrafters.com. LensCrafters, because sight. Eye exams are available at the independent doctor of optometry at or next to LensCrafters. Doctors in some states are employed by LensCrafters. Offer valid to September 5th. See associate for details.
January 1st, 2021. As others were rolling out their New Year's resolutions, I am not a resolution person, but for some reason I did. And I resolved that by the end of the year, I would host a New Edition reunion on the Unscripted podcast. Why I said that, I have no idea, because I have no connection whatsoever to New Edition, outside of the fact that they're my favorite group ever. Let's rewind the clock a minute, because a few years ago, my best friend was at a party with Keith Sweat. Keith Sweat. Now, some of you may not recognize the name, but most of you will remember Keith Sweat was very, very popular in the 80s and 90s. How in the world was he at this party? I would later find out. His good friend, and now my good friend, T. Fox. T is the president and founder of Fox Entertainment. Fox Entertainment builds brands. They're a sports and entertainment marketing agency based in Atlanta. Their clients are as diverse as they are. They're professional athletes, entertainers, musicians, and actors. But the difference is this, and it's also their similarity. Their clients are as dynamic and enthusiastic as they are. Please welcome my guest, my new friend, a possible connection to New Edition, President and CEO of Fox Entertainment, T. Fox.
Welcome to the Unscripted podcast. My name's Corby LaCroix, and the song you're hearing right now is called Great and Mighty One, available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your music. But for now, recording from the Unscripted studio at the Junction in Old Hilliard, here's your host and my friend, Aaron Conrad.
Great Redeemer, God of grace.
All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted from my studio at the Junction in Old Hilliard. Corby, thank you for my introduction on the audio as always. And I'm real excited for today. I've been excited for a while, about 2 months, I think it's been. And so let me go ahead and let my guest introduce herself, because she'll do a much better job than I will. So go ahead and introduce yourself, T, and we'll go from there.
Well, okay. I am T. Fox. I am I hate to say it because it's going to make me sound old, but I am a 20 plus year broadcast professional, veteran, I guess you can say. I am a marketing, branding, and PR specialist as well under my own company, Fox Entertainment Group. Well, I guess I should roll back. Before Fox Entertainment Group, I spent 23 years behind the mic, as you are, behind the mic and behind the camera. I was an anchor and reporter in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, at the CBS affiliate there, and with the #1 hip hop and R&B station there in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I moved from there and spent time in Indianapolis, Columbus, Ohio, and also in the Atlanta, Georgia marketplace in both radio and television. Now I continue to do voiceover and lots of audio, audio books and other voice work, along with my agency, Fox Entertainment Group, that I've had for 20 years, which is so crazy because I started Fox Entertainment Group in 2000, and we turned 20 years old last year. So
that's awesome.
That's me.
Well, you have a much better face for the thing. You said I'm behind the mic, so I have a face for radio, and as a compliment, you have a much better face than I do. So I could see how you were on the TV and the radio and everything. Like they won't put me somewhere where there's not going to be a camera anywhere in sight. So, but you did spend a minute in Columbus, right? We talked about 2 months ago, and it was honestly the most life-giving. I don't know, half hour. I don't know how long we talked. Half hour, 45 minutes. It was the most life-giving 30
we
to
talked
45
for a while
minutes.
because I was driving, I remember.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved every minute
because I remember
of
I
it.
was driving, yeah.
Right. And so, but you did spend a minute in Columbus, right? You had a cup of coffee here.
Yeah, I did. I was in the Columbus marketplace for 3 years, and I did things with Channel 10 there. And then I did a morning show on Power 107 WCKX.
Yep.
And I did that with my morning partner, Paul Strong, who I think has come back to the marketplace, I heard. Did a morning show, a morning radio show at that hip hop and R&B station from 1996 to 99. And at the same time, I actually simultaneously was a Midwest regional correspondent for BET. Wow. Where I covered the Midwest from Tennessee up to Michigan, picked up Indiana, Ohio, and Tennessee, parts of Illinois, but covered that for BET. Wow. I spent some really good time. I had some really good time, picked up some really good friends in Columbus. Haven't been back there for a long time. Kind of blew through there a couple times, but haven't stopped over, but picked up a lot of good friends in Columbus during my time there.
Well, if you ever come back, you know a guy. So
oh, absolutely, for sure.
Gotta meet up somehow. But all right, so let me start at the beginning. So when you were, how did you know you wanted to be? I always want to ask this question, and then we have a lot more to unpack. I mean, there's a big old box to unpack. But let me ask you this question: What when you started off, how did you know you wanted to be in radio and TV?
You know, that is such a good question because I have such a good answer. I was so blessed from like a very early on to know what I wanted to do. I know a lot of folks who go through high school all the way through college, graduate, and they still don't even know what they want to do with their lives, right? But how old are you in the 7th grade? Are you 12? You're 12 in the 7th grade, right? 12.
Oh boy.
12? I think you're about 12 years old in the 7th grade.
So
you're
around 18 and you're around 18 as a senior. So
so you back that up. You're about 12 years old.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
So at 12 years old, I'm in middle school, a 7th grader. I am an aide for the counselor, just his little gopher basically. And so I told him one day, his name was Mr. Calloway, Curtis Calloway. He's my counselor. I will never forget Curtis Calloway. And I said, Mr. Calloway, hey, we should do a radio station here at the school. And he said, a radio station? How are we going to do that? I said, everybody wants to listen to music during their lunch break. We can just play music during the lunch hour. And he says, okay, well, who's going to be on the radio station, T? I said, me. And he says, what are you going to name the radio station, T? I said, WSMS for Southern Middle School. WSMS. So then he says, what are you going to put on the radio station, T? I said, well, we'll play music. We'll do the weather, whatever Mr. T, who was our principal, whatever Mr. T wants us to say, and all this kind of stuff. I had the whole thing planned out, and I just always thought it was so cool when I would listen to the radio. I always thought it was so cool how they would talk, and then stop right before the song started singing, and they would have their whole thought out, and they would stop right before the song. I just always thought it was so cool, and I always liked it. And my mom used to actually catch me, I'd be told to go to bed for school, and she would catch me listening to the radio. I'd have it underneath my pillow. And she would come in and she would see the cord coming out from underneath my pillow because I was listening to the radio.
Right.
And so
you're perfecting your craft.
Exactly. At 12 years old.
That's right.
And I knew then. And so he allowed me to start WSMS, which is it is still at my middle school to this day.
That's awesome.
They call me back periodically to tell everyone how WSMS came to be.
That's great. That's great.
And,
I didn't even know that. I didn't
yeah.
even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and my the first song that I spun as a honor personality was "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." Michael Jackson's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." That was the first song. That's what started it all.
Right. Well, Mike's the GOAT, so I'll allow it. But I was really hoping you were going to say it was New Edition.
Well, yeah, I knew. I knew you was probably going to say. I knew you was probably going to say that. But yeah, you know what? I guess maybe a couple years later,
right? New
Edition came into the fold or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
We're in that 80s mix now, so some people don't even know what we're talking about, but you and I know. It's
absolutely. Absolutely fine. We do. I mean,
that's awesome. And so you followed that career path. That was where you knew from that moment on, and then here you are today.
From 12 years old. And I really truly believe and know that that's such an incredible blessing because like I said, I have buddies who I went to college with, and they go through a whole 4 years of college, come out with a degree, and they end up not even using the degree, going in a whole total different direction. And they still don't know what they wanted to do. But I knew very early exactly what I wanted to do. And I went on to do radio and then was able to work some television in there and some sports talk radio. And so it was, it's been a blessing.
It's not an easy business though, right? Like you there's late hours, there's long days. Honestly, I think in my dream would be to one day have been a DJ, some radio station. I don't know, sports talk, whatever. But I just knew it was really, really hard. There's there's not a lot of money. And there's a lot of bad hours.
And that's what people don't realize. It's not a lot of money in the beginning. You really have to, when they talk about paying your dues in radio, you really have to pay your dues, on the radio and television side, so that, as you just said, there are long hours. Not only is it long hours, there's crappy hours, they'll allow you to do more, when the main, in the beginning, when the main, radio personalities would go on vacation, or it was a holiday, and you'd have to come in being away from your family, where I invested, those crappy kind of overnights, stuff like that. But, all of that was a part of paying your dues, and I was no different. I was regulated to overnights for a while, then I was promoted to weekends, then I was promoted to my own show on the weekends.
Oh boy.
Then I moved into like evenings, and then ultimately, the morning slot, which is, the meat and potatoes of your radio station. And that's kind of like, the creme de la creme, of a radio slot that you want to be in. And once I landed in that morning radio slot, that's pretty much where I stayed. So yeah. But it takes a lot. It's a lot of hard work, and you have to really love the craft, and you really want to be committed to honing your craft and being the very best that you can. And I was always in that space of, even when I wasn't even on the air, I was still at the radio station in the production room, honing my voice, and I ultimately was able to take my voice to other spaces and to other heights, in terms of doing national, I've gotten several national voiceover opportunities. And I do a lot of, I do audio books and things like that, now those pay really well. Those pay really well.
Noted.
And not until once you land in that morning show realm, that's you're a starter. You're a starter, and you're kind of in that all-star stratosphere. So then you're able to, negotiate better pay and stuff like that. But it's truly, no pun intended, but it truly is having a love for the game of radio. And I truly have a love for radio. I believe that anything that you do that you would just as soon not get paid for and still do it is your passion. And I would just as soon do radio and not get paid for it, because that's just a passion of mine. I just love being I just love being in the control room, being behind the board, I love the interaction, the interaction with people. I love messing with people, the fun part of the interaction. So I totally absolutely adore radio. Mm-hmm.
And I would say, so that I think that segues well for us, because I think these are all building blocks. So those late nights, those weekends, those times when you weren't the morning host, you made still connections, and that led you to, and I don't want to fast forward because we're going to fast forward a lot of years, I think, but it made connections for you to where you started the business that you're in today. Before we get there, is there anything that you want to cover from those days to the middle to where you started your own business, or when did you decide to start your own business? So that's a really loaded question, but you know what I mean? Like, because those connections for you, those are paying off for you today. So nothing is ever wasted, even if you didn't make a lot of money.
Absolutely.
It's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So, so you go ahead. It's your story.
Just to stay right there where you were about none of it is wasted. On the television side, I worked in CBS, WLKY Channel 32 was my first television shop that I worked in. And they were always so incredibly short-staffed, sometimes I was acting as an assignment editor. Sometimes I was an associate producer. If some of our photogs were out on spot news, and we still had to produce a show, I had to go back into the edit bay and actually edit a VO or VOSOT for the broadcast. So at that particular time, I complained. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do all this, blah, 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 and then at that particular time, still down in the gutter is what I call it, still down in the gutter, because I was only, at the time, I was a weekend anchor and reporter. I had not moved into the 5 o'clock slot or anything like that, Monday through Friday. Yeah. I was on the weekends, but I had all this, what's going on. And later down the road, all of those things, being an editor, doing spot news, being an assignment editor, associate producer, all of those skills. I even, sometimes I was even in the control room directing, directing this newscast, running Chiron. Chiron, for some folks that might be listening, Chiron is actually those little, the words that you see at the bottom of the screen where it says your name and where you're from, or your name and your position, or you see the little crawl coming across, or you see the little thing that says live up in the top right-hand corner of your screen, or the big thing that busts out and says breaking news. All that kind of stuff is considered Chiron. So, I was running Chiron. Sometime they would be like, T, we really need you to run teleprompter. So I would be in the studio running teleprompter for the main anchor, before I moved into that spot. But all of those things later down the road really rolled up into making me an even more well-rounded broadcast professional. Because of all the things I had to do when I was in the gutter, what I'm saying, when I was down there. But all of it, and the same goes on the radio side. I would spend hours in the production room learning my way around the production board, because I did not want that production board to kick my ass. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can say that here. I'm sorry. But I did not want it to kick my behind. I wanted to make sure that I really, truly mastered the board, and that there was nothing on that control board that I did not know how to do. I didn't want there to be any kind of sound effect, any kind of commercial spot that I didn't know how to produce. So then, it just, all of those things actually just ended up making me stronger as I continued to move through my journey. And that's really good because I haven't visited that in my headspace for a while. But yeah, all of that really, it really rolled me into who I am. And with, even being in the radio space, I remember my first program director telling me how to network, because I didn't understand network. I was like, what is network? And everybody keeps saying network. What does that mean?
Right.
And so when he explained to me that every record representative that came into the radio station, I needed to get to know. And when I got to know them and they became friends, they would let me know what was happening in the industry and other marketplaces and things like that. And then I remember the very first so-called quote unquote celebrity that I interviewed. She walked into the studio, she walked into the radio station, and she had her little African headdress on. And it was Queen Latifah.
I was going to say Badu. I was going to guess Erykah Badu.
Yeah, it was Queen Latifah, and at the time she was still 100% rap, and she was in that space of UNITY.
That's right.
UNITY. It's
so
the
good.
unity. She was so still good. Kind of in that. She was still in that space, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so when she came in, I remember being like really nervous, and my program director at the time, Maurice Harris, my first program director, he told me about how to network. He said, you can even network with them, and I remember sitting down and I remember being so totally nervous, and she reached over and touched my hand. She was like, sis, it's just me. It's just me.
That's
she
great.
Said, she said, let's just talk.
That's
and
great.
I remember when she said that and she touched my hand, and it really calmed me. We had a really good interview on air. It was just like I was just talking to her. We was just kicking it. Like she said, let's just talk. And I kind of took that into the way that I approached, I approached dealing with folks that had that had a profile in that manner.
Right.
And so as I continue to interview, different celebrities, musicians, actors, actresses, and things like that, I realized that they need me just as much as I needed them. Because if no one hears your music on my radio station, then you can't be who you are.
Right. Right.
So, so that means that you need me too. So once I was able to get that in my headspace, I was able to kind of level that playing field, and there was no one that I couldn't just kick it with.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I've been blessed enough to meet enough, and this isn't by any means a brag, but I've been blessed enough to meet a lot of celebrity. They're at the end of the day, they're just people.
At the end of the day,
they're just people. I mean, they're just people.
Yeah.
Their bank accounts may be bigger, their problems may be different, but they're just people.
And a few more people might know them than me.
Right.
Right. But like you say, at the end of the day, they are just people. And, and because I was able to really, again, flip my head, in that direction, that's what I think allowed me to actually become friends and actually have bona fide relationships and friendships with these so-called quote unquote celebrities. And I mean, it's a host of them that are just good friends, and if I see something, read something, about one of them that's a good friend of mine that's not good, I pick up the phone. Martin Lawrence happens to be one of those kind of guys. Okay. And I met Martin back when he was doing the Martin Lawrence show back, when it was, on Thursday nights.
It was so good. Yeah.
And it is still running. It
is running in syndication. Everywhere. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, it's in like major syndication, on like 2 or 3 different stations, but when I met him back then, we had no idea that Martin was going to go on to do things that he's done, which is he's just an incredible, humongous, huge talent. But there's times that I had read things about Martin and I pick up the phone and say, hey, dude, are you okay? how's things going for you?
Yeah.
I just remember specifically, it was that time when he was running, he was training for some movie that he was going to be in, and he was running in freaking 90-degree weather with a sweatsuit on and passed out and something. It was
Goodness.
just really not good. But yeah, they, like you say, they're just people like anyone else that have the same type of problems, and sometimes, quite frankly, their problems can be even bigger than ours.
Right.
Because Biggie wrote a song about it. More money,
more problems. I was thinking the same thing. Like that's
the truth about that thing.
It's not a world I live in, but more money, more problems.
Yeah,
I mean, it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. Because you think about it, you were in college, you have no money, and you don't really have any problems. But
no, you don't.
You get your first job, and now you got more problems. R.I.P. Biggie, but he was pretty spot on with the song.
Yeah,
no doubt.
He was.
No doubt.
He was.
So you knew Martin when he was the DJ in the movie House Party.
Yeah. Actually, it was in between that and when he got Martin.
Okay.
So he went from House Party. Dang, I forgot all about that. From House Party DJ to Bad Boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
so
stop bumping the table.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx the same way.
Right.
Knew Jamie and interviewed Jamie when he was Wanda, acting crazy as Wanda in Living Color.
Yeah.
Had no idea that Jamie was going to go on. No one did that he was going to go on and be the incredible talent that he is right now. So
are you all related by
you know what? It's so funny. We are not, but he always tells everybody I'm his better half. And he always introduces me that. He'll always introduce me that way. I'm like, okay, well, where's the half of my money?
Exactly.
Where's the half of my money?
And in case anybody missed it, we're referring to Jamie Foxx, who's he's got some zeros in his bank account as well. So
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
All right, so you transferred out of all that, and I think all those relationships are important because that's the business that you're in today. When I was looking at it, I love that you're in this business because I just started my own about 2 months ago. Content creation, I'm not rolling with celebs, and I don't have an A-list in my Rolodex, but I think we are a little bit in the same space. But at the end of the day, can you tell us a little bit about your business, because I think it's important so everybody know what you do.
Absolutely. In fact, I started the business when I was in Columbus, Ohio.
There you go.
Let me roll that back just a little bit.
Okay.
I indirectly started it when I was in Columbus, Ohio. And when I was in Columbus, Ohio, of course, we know that Columbus, Ohio is nothing but Ohio State University. I'm sorry, the 100%. Ohio State University.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah. That's all. You know what I'm saying? If you take that university, it's going out of that town. It's just going to be a gaping hole, right?
Trouble, right?
So being there doing radio, I think this was maybe 96 or 97. I heard that all of these ball players were in town, and I was like, "Why are all these ball players here?" And they were like, "Oh, all the ball players come back and do their off-season training at the school and everything." I was like, "Oh, okay." So then, I started hearing so many. A ton of them are in town.
Yeah.
So then I heard this guy, Eddie George, was in town. So I tell my producer, I'm like, get Eddie George on the show. Get Eddie George on the show. And I will never forget that I was in the middle of, she got him on the show. So we were in the middle of doing a skit. We were in the middle of a commercial break. I was queuing up music and I was trying to get everything together for us to come out of our next commercial break. And my back was to the door. And she comes in and she says, "Hey, T, Eddie's here." I was like, "Okay, cool. Just put him, and I'm waving my hand. Okay, cool. Just put him in, just put him in the jock lounge and give him some Gatorade or something." Right? Well, I did not know Eddie was standing right there.
Oh, no.
Right. So I turned and she said, "T." I was like, "What? Just put him in the lounge and give him some Gatorade or something." "What?" She says, "T." And I turned around and I looked at Eddie was standing right there.
Yeah.
So I had to apologize to him. I'm so sorry. Maybe you want some coffee. Maybe you want some coffee instead.
My bad.
So we had a great time with Eddie on the show. And then after the show, I told him, I said, "Hey, listen, how about I throw a party?" how about I throw a party with you and all the guys, this weekend or something. So T-Foxx is, Power 107's T-Foxx is having a party, and guess who's coming? Eddie George, Sean Springs, Chris Carter, Corey Stringer, all of them,
Wow.
And I had this big party with all the ball players. And after that party was over, then the ball players started asking me if I could do stuff for them. Hey, think you could do my birthday party? You think you could do this for me, that? And so I was like, sure. I did it. And then when I went to do their parties, they had other ball players there. And so they were like, oh my gosh, this is off the chain. Who did it for you? And then one ball player started telling another ball player, and one ball player told another one. And so, so it started kind of getting around, that I put on, really great events and their football camps and their autograph sessions and their appearances and all that kind of stuff.
Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner.
Only one sale away from the Shopify 1000 Club.
Is that a thing?
Wow, Mom. Have a cookie.
I'll take one.
Dad.
These are delicious. You need to sell them.
You should.
Mom!
No, seriously. Let's set you up on Shopify. It's easy.
I always knew you would build your own business.
Guys!
Yum.
Okay, if Mom can do it, then why not?
Number 1000!
Start selling today with Shopify for free. Sell online, in person, and anywhere else your future holds. And manage it all from a single place. No design or coding experience necessary. It's why every minute of every day, something amazing happens. A new seller makes their first sale with Shopify. Plus, with on-demand business courses and 24/7 support, Shopify is with you every step of the way. So, when you're ready to bring your idea to life, build it on Shopify, the commerce platform powering millions of ideas around the world. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a free 14-day trial at shopify.com/free22. Go to shopify.com/free22 and start selling today. Shopify.com/free22.
So they were just paying me out of their pockets. And so then I thought, hold on, I think I probably need to put some business structure around this thing.
Right.
And so that's how it was born. That's how Fox Entertainment Group was born. I didn't mean to even start the agency. It wasn't something I said, okay, I want to do this as, it just kind of came about like that, and so then I moved to Atlanta in 1999, and I incorporated Fox Entertainment Group in October of 2000.
There you go.
So then it's just been growing, from an really from an experiential type of place, because that's what we do. We really concentrate and hone in on experiences, and producing experiences for people, and so along the way, the guys just kept sending other guys to me. And I, and it just kind of blow-uptuated, like Martin used to say. But it just blow-uptuated,
Right. I love it. All right. That's a new word for me. So those clients still clients of yours today?
Yeah. What happened was another good friend of mine, ball player, his name is Jamie Dukes, who played for the Atlanta Falcons. He used to do sports talk radio in Atlanta, and they needed a female to come in and do sports talk radio. And so Jamie went in and he started swinging a big stick on my behalf. And he was like, she's the best, she knows her stuff. She's for real. All the guys respect her. You need to put her on, you need to put her on the air. And so I simultaneously was doing sports talk radio on 790 The Zone. And I did a sports talk radio show there called Three's Company. And unlike the television show, Three's Company, where it was two girls and a guy, it was two guys and me.
Okay.
And we talked sports for 3 hours, and so I would actually, that was another outlet in terms of me being able to leverage and use those relationships and contacts. because I was able to call Deion Sanders and get him on the show, or Dikembe Mutombo, or Allen Iverson, or Eddie George, or any of these guys, and get on, Charles Woodson, who just went into the Hall of Fame this past year. Yay, good for him.
That's right.
But yeah, so I was able to, that was another outlet and opportunity for me to leverage those relationships and continue to kind of build on my radio resume. And won. I actually won an AIR award for the for the work that I did on 790 The Zone. AIR standing for Achievements in Radio Award. So for the best new talent in the marketplace at that particular time, because I was new there, and so yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's been awesome, and as you alluded to, a lot of those guys are still clients to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are what we refer to as regular clients. And when we say regular clients, meaning that they're, that we're doing work for them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are clients that we have, like on a per project or, per initiative, per program basis. Dikembe Mutombo is not necessarily a regular client, but we've done his, but every year we do his big fundraising gala with Alonzo Mourning and all the guys that come in for that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just been, talking to you right here, right now, Aaron, and, just, you taking me back and rolling me up and, and me thinking through all those experiences. I've really been blessed.
Mm-hmm.
I've really been blessed. I've had, just meeting great people, working with great people, Dr. J is one, Dr. J is, a client that we've worked with, and it's just the best. He is the best ever. I mean, the very best. He's just the best ever. And, we worked with all the Black NFL quarterbacks, from Warren Moon to Randall Cunningham to Mike Vick to Donovan McNabb, all those guys. It's like I have about 30 brothers.
Wow.
It's like I have 30 brothers.
Well, so my back hurts from picking up all the names that you're dropping. Just gonna say, like, come on now. Seriously, you're just dropping names left and right. And
gosh, no, it's really big. And that wasn't purpose. That wasn't purposeful.
No, I know.
But it's just just thinking back on everything that we've been able to do, and folks we've worked with, and the fun that we've had, and even you have to start out in the gutter, like I say,
right?
Those overnight, and all of those overnights and all of those hard hours and long hours, just paid off.
Yeah. Well, here's what I know, and I think this is important, and I apologize that joke wasn't meant to say
No. You're fine.
Because if anybody's listened to you so far, I'm sure they know your heart already, and the little bit that you and I know each other, I know your heart as well, and you're not that person to sit around dropping names. But I think it's important because you've achieved a level of success, and those names are important for that level of success which you've had. I'll go ahead and drop one. I had the opportunity to meet Bo Jackson many times. Many times. A handful. Let's just say a handful of times, because I had the opportunity to work for him. So awesome. Great guy, awesome guy. And I'll leave it at that. But what I found with him was, like we said, he's just a normal person. But I think it's fair to say that a lot of the athletes and superstars that you work with, I don't want to say they have trust issues, but they have every right to have trust issues.
Oh, it's no doubt about it.
So you got to earn your respect with those guys and lady and all of them. Any superstar, I think, and it's completely understandable. You know what I mean? Because you can't just trust some guy off the street. You can't just trust somebody that has a business card. You got to earn your respect. And so the whole point of that narrative wasn't to drop the name Bo Jackson. It was to say that you have to earn your respect, and you've clearly earned the respect of your clients and your friends, as you said, your brothers, people that those are relationships, not to go Jerry Maguire, but the reality is that's what makes the business work.
That is so incredibly true. And for me as a female,
right,
that trust and that respect, and the need to earn it is really 10 times that.
Yeah.
Because I have to, I have to work, I believe, from my experience, that I have had to work even harder to earn their respect and to earn their trust. What has made perhaps it be a little allowing me to fast track it a little is because if it's because one guy has already said she's good.
There you go. Right. And that's that trust factor.
That's the trust factor. Yeah. And I have as a reporter, I have been in 2 NBA locker rooms and 2 NFL locker rooms. And I remember the first time I went into an NBA locker room, the guys, they test me.
Right.
They test me. And I remember walking in, and I walked into the Minnesota Timberwolves locker room after they lost to the Hawks. And at that particular time, the Hawks were really lowly. They were lowly, to say they weren't doing anything. So I walked into the Minnesota Timberwolves locker room when KG was still there, and Latrell Sprewell was playing, Sam Cassell. And I remember walking in, and it was like the testosterone almost made me choke. It was so thick.
Right.
It was so thick. And that was the first time. And I remember walking in, and KG was on the little massage table thingy, getting some massage, but he was sitting straight up. And so I walked in, and so, the guys looked, and so I said, hey, just trying to holler at KG, if I can holler at Spree, that'll be cool. And then I'll be out of your space. Now, I know that is sacred space. I know that that's y'all space. I know it is. And I know me coming into it is an infringement upon it, so they announced that a female was on the floor, like we used to do in college. We used to say, hey, man on the floor, so you wouldn't come out naked or nothing.
Right.
So they said, female in the locker room or whatever. And so I remember Latrell Sprewell, he was so ornery about it. And I had to really play him a little differently, because he walked up to me completely nude, but deliberately swinging.
Come on.
And I know that you know what I'm saying.
No, come on now.
So deliberately swinging, and asked me, did I want to interview him? So I looked down, and I looked back up, and all the guys were looking at us. I looked down, and I looked back up, and I told him, no, I'm good on you. I'm good. I'm good. And
I'm
so
short on time.
Yeah. So the entire locker room, the guy started laughing.
Right.
And I think he was gonna probably try to come at me a little stronger, but somebody pulled him away. But you can't, but those kinds of interactions actually help to establish my respect. But you're not going to come up and disrespect.
Right.
But that helped to establish the respect. And I remember KG stood up for me. He's like, dude, go and leave her alone. Just come over here, ask me whatever you need to ask me. I'm good.
Good for him.
I've and from that experience, when I walked into the St. Louis Rams locker room, I understood what I needed to do. What I started doing is I started finding the guy that is a friend, and then it's almost like they bless you.
Right.
And the other guys will stop messing with you.
Yep.
So I walked into to the St. Louis Rams locker room, and I looked, and I found Big O, Orlando Pace, Ohio State. Ohio State. Right. I found Big O, and I said, hey, he's like, what are you doing here? I was like, 7 nights of his own, whatever. So then it's almost like he sent out an air.
Yeah. I just, in so many ways, it's a world I don't understand because I'm not super famous or anything like that. But at the same time, I understand it. I understand it. I think those guys need their privacy. And now Latrell was completely over.
So out of line.
That's so out of line.
So out of line. He was so out of line with that.
And that's completely different. But at the same time, like if you walked up to him in the airport or, wherever it might be, a coffee shop, I think it still holds true. They just have, and you got to think that they have to protect their space.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. But as you said, that's so cool that you've had that opportunity to, you've earned your way again. You've earned your right to have those conversations, to meet those things, to have those parties. And so, and that's what you're doing in your business. So let me ask you this. I meant to ask you this before we get off, because I am curious. Has the NIL, so the NIL is the name, image, and likeness for college athletes. You are in the sports agency business, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
It's one of the things you all do. How has life changed? Has it changed? Is there any effect with NIL for you all as a business?
It's so funny that you bring that up, because I just had some conversations yesterday, because I'm actually moving into that particular space, that space, and there's a lot of they still have the policies that's governing that whole NIL space.
Yeah,
it's still kind of loosey goosey. It's still kind of it's just not all the way. They don't really have all the policies really in place. But I actually have a meeting coming up here shortly about actually being a part of that whole NIL space. I have a baby baller is what I call her, but it's my niece who is, she is a baby baller. And she's now a freshman in high school. And she already has a number of universities, coming after her.
Yeah.
In fact, we're in the process of inking her name.
Awesome.
So to make sure that she has opportunities that the other athletes, before her did not.
Right.
And I've always felt and always championed college athletes being paid. Because of the stupid amount of money that they make the universities. It's insane.
Right.
And so
as someone that spent time in Columbus, you understand that.
Oh, absolutely, especially in Columbus.
Insane.
And
right.
and my hometown, my hometown is Louisville, Kentucky.
There you go.
So University of Louisville is big time college athletics. We used to be all basketball, but now we're basketball and football.
Right.
At U of L. So the amount of money is just insane, and I've always thought that they should be paid. So I'm excited about having an opportunity to now help those younger athletes coming along to teach them about branding, teach them about building their brand,
right.
About how to market their brand and how to leverage their brand, and in terms of optimizing and monetizing their brands, and teaching them about how to build it.
Right.
Because that's what I teach my guys now. I tell them, while you have the football field, while you have the basketball court, the NBA is building their brand on you. The NFL is building their brand on you. So then you need to build your brand on them while you're on the court or on the football field. So
no doubt.
But yeah, I'm so excited about the NIL opportunity. I think it's long overdue. And I'm really excited about the opportunities that those younger athletes are going to have coming along.
I agree. And this is a very small sample size and version, I guess you'd say, but I have Unscripted Athletes, which is a dozen to 15 athletes so far that have just said, hey, we'll be on #Unscripted Athletes with you. And we designed a t-shirt together.
I'd like to help you with that.
Oh, let's talk. We'll talk offline, because honestly, it's they're great kids, and at the end of the day, they're kids, and
exactly
they're celebrated through their high school, they're celebrated in their travel teams, and then they get to college and they're just another kid playing on the team. To your point. And look, what I've heard so far is that the D1, the big guys, the kid from OSU with the mullet that's not even taking a snap yet, that's got like 1.5 million already. There's those guys. But then there's a lot of other players that aren't getting anything. And so part of it, my drive or idea was, let's just mentor them. If somebody would have come alongside to me and said, hey, you're going to be one of my athletes, let's design a t-shirt together and do it. So they're almost like a board of directors for me. And so I lean on them, and we have conversations together, and wherever Unscripted Athletes goes, it's going to be based on what those 12 to 15 athletes help me design. And that's something they'll learn and take with them wherever they go in life.
Absolutely.
How fun is that? That's the way I looked at it is, if I was in college and got to put my hands in almost like an internship, that's not a daily, got to go to, report there. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of opportunity for so many of us.
But these athletes are athlete incorporated.
Right.
They in and of themselves can actually, generate money.
Right.
And I remember messing with Dr. J, and telling and he is the only athlete I think I've ever thanked for allowing us to work with him, because his brand is so incredibly iconic. I thanked him for trusting us with it. It was this was a 3 years ago or whatever, but I had secured a speaking engagement for him, and it was in the 5 figures. It was in the upper 5 figures.
Wow.
And so when I called him and I told him about it, he says, okay, what do they need for me to do? And I was like, oh, just be Dr. J.
That's right.
And then I was like, wait, what is being Dr. J, and why do you get paid all this money to do it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's crazy.
And if you look at it, it's all it is nothing but the brand that he has built along the way.
Right.
And so that is and the equity that he has within that brand, that he still is able to leverage and still make money. And he has not bounced a basketball for 25 years.
Right.
So that's what I want to be able to talk to the younger athletes about, and the athletes that are coming along, how they can build their brand, the things that they can do, not just being a superstar athlete. If you're not a superstar athlete, that doesn't mean that you still cannot have a brand that you can leverage and monetize.
Right.
Because your brand has different aspects to it. And one aspect is the athletic side. One aspect is a community side. One aspect is a personal side, because people bond with you for several different reasons. Yeah. And we can take all of those reasons and we can build a brand that you can actually go out and be Aaron Conrad Incorporated and be able to get paid for being Aaron, right. Shaking hands and kissing babies, as they say.
I have to figure that out still, by the way. I'm still working on that. I might need your help.
But I mean, but everyone, everyone has a brand. I tell people that all the time. Whatever someone thinks of immediately when someone says your name, that's your brand.
Right.
Right. And there's something that I used to always say, and I still say it, and I tell folks that I'm not a part of nothing raggedy. I'm not a part of nothing raggedy. I remember doing a celebrity basketball game, and I went back, and it's a singer. His name is Brian McKnight.
Yes.
Okay. And Brian is a big time baller. He thinks if he wasn't singing, he'd be playing basketball. He just thinks he's a basketballer. But I remember going in the back and giving all the guys, all the celebrities that were playing in the game, I was giving them their jerseys. And as I was leaving the locker room, I heard Brian say, they were talking about how nice the jerseys and uniforms were and everything. And I heard Brian say, well, T says she ain't a part of nothing raggedy, And I remember thinking, dang, why did he say it like that? But then I said, no,
yeah,
I do
you've
want
earned
him
that.
to say that.
Earned that.
I do want him to say that.
Right.
Because I try to do things with as much excellence as I can. And,
yes,
I try to do things top shelf and that kind of thing. So that's a part of my brand that I'm not a part of nothing raggedy. You know what I'm saying?
No, I love
everybody
that.
Has, everybody has a brand,
right.
And you have to build and leverage the brand. And so I know we got into that because of talking about NIL, but I really truly am excited for those athletes and that opportunity.
Well, I think we have a lot to talk about offline. Sounds like
Yeah.
with them, and so we will do that. But before you've been so generous with your time. I'm always thankful for
you.
even 10 to 15
appreciate
minutes.
you wanting to have me on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So before we do get off it, I always want to make sure I cover everything. This is your platform. The stage is yours. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want this audience to know about you, about Fox Entertainment Group? Anything that we may have missed?
You know what? The only other thing that I can add, and I'm going to just add it the way that I know how, is that it's everything that I've been able to experience, build, bring together, touch, create. It's not even about me, all of my creative and everything I've been able to do is only because of Dad. And you and I talked about that before too,
That's right. Yeah.
And I call God Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I affectionately call God Dad, and that's because he is my spiritual father.
Mm-hmm.
And when a girl is crazy about their father, she's a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
So that's why I call him Dad, and that actually is indicative and puts on display. It's just the display of the relationship that I have with him and how jam jelly tight he and I are.
I love that quote. That's great.
So it's not it's not me. It's really all it's everything that Dad God has trusted me with. I've tried to be a good steward over it. And I've tried to share it the way that I thought he wanted me to share it, and I've tried to, there's nothing perfect about me at all, but I've always tried to do things in decency and in order. I've tried to, always reach for a high level of excellence so that he would be proud of me. And, my team, the team here at Fox Entertainment Group, it is like the best group of people that they believe in me so much. Anything that I come to them with, they're just rocking with me the whole way. So I have like such a great team of people that believe in me and have rocked with me from the beginning. And so yeah, it's not even about me and the and any credit. It's just all God and what he's allowed me to do.
Well, and I knew that because from our previous conversation, as you said, but and I'm thank you for sharing, because I knew that about you. But you said something earlier, and I always think about this when people always talk about their spiritual gifts, like they don't know what they want to do with their life, or they don't know what they're supposed to do, what God wants them to do. And I don't mean to diminish it by any means, but I always to me, it's always been pretty simple. It's like, what's that thing that you do that everybody looks at and they're like, how did you do that? And you're like, I don't know, I just did it. You know what I mean? Or you just enjoy doing it. Some people, it might be working on a car. Maybe doing brakes on a car. That's no big deal to you. Building a website, you name it. There's singing a song and people are like, wow, your voice is amazing. Like, oh, I'm just sing.
Sure.
You name it. There's something at some point in your life, somebody has said to you, how did you do that? And they have these huge wide eyes, like, how in the world was that? And you're like, it's no big deal. Start there. I'm not saying that's your spiritual gift, but I'm telling you, start there.
Yeah, exactly.
Clearly for you,
that's great.
Clearly for you, it's been relationships, and God has placed you in a position of where you are taking full advantage of that, and you have since you were 12 years old. Like as you were talking, I sit back and I put it through that filter, and it all makes perfect sense to me. Is that you are right in a sweet spot of where God made you, God created you. And because of that, he's blessing you in what you're doing in life.
Absolutely. And I'm always careful to dap him up. Right. Give him the honor, give 100%. Him the praise, give him the credit, give him the credit for it, because it, all of those relationships, I make sure to the very, very best of my ability, because they are truly, the driving force behind everything that I've ever been able to do. Is I've always been able to, I've always wanted to make sure that I manage those relationships properly, that those relationships are balanced, that as much as I take from the relationship, as much as I try to give back to that relationship and try to keep those balanced. And when you do that and manage those relationships with that in mind, then those relationships will continue to thrive and grow and deepen and continue to give back. So yeah, that's what I've tried to do.
Well, there's no question why. So the teaser you haven't heard yet that I will play at the beginning of this podcast before people actually click in and hear our interview.
Mm-hmm.
I said that many years ago, a friend of mine sent me a picture from a Keith Sweat party. I'm like, what are you doing at a Keith Sweat party? And how in the world are you there? And I didn't know at the time, and obviously and Chris is he's my brother. He is I love him dearly. He's my best friend. And so it's no question to me why you and Chris are friends, because you're great people too. So you are my sister. I love you dearly. We've talked, I think, 3 times. Yeah, no, it's so good. And we had our offline conversation. I wish we would have recorded that day. We should have, because it was awesome
I
too.
know it.
Not that this one hasn't been. Hopefully this has been informative for people, but I'm just so thankful for you and for Chris and for his introduction to the two of us. And I look forward to staying in touch. And we definitely got to talk about the NIL thing.
Oh,
offline.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yes.
We need to. We have to.
The website, before we get off, the website. What's your website?
The website is actually Foxx, F-O-X-X, that's 2 X's, F-O-X-X-E-N-T, like entertainment, Group, Inc., like incorporated. So it's FoxxENTGroupInc.com.
And I will put that in the post as well. But just in case somebody's driving down the road, they can look that up on their phone. Hopefully not while they're still driving. But is there anything not while you're driving? Is there anything else you want to share before we close out?
I think that's it. I always, like I say, I always just try to dap Dad up at the end of everything that I do, and I think I just did that.
You do, and you didn't even have to, because you for those that see a video or any clip from this, you beam his light, his light. So you are beaming of that. You beam it even in the voice. And I think if anybody listens to you, they're going to hear that you are living a life that beams and glows his message and him in your life. And so I'm just thankful for you. This has been wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
All right, God bless. We will be in touch, because the NIL is something I want to talk about. So
Absolutely, you bet.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Unscripted podcast with your host, Aaron Conrad, from his studio at the Junction in Old Hilliard. Make sure to like, share, follow, and review on your favorite podcast platforms. Also, make sure to check out my song Great and Mighty One on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you find your music. We'll see you next time on Unscripted with Aaron Conrad.
Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner. Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino online.
I was only playing for fun, so winning was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's favorite free online social casino. You too could have the chance to win life-changing cash prizes. Absolutely anybody could be like Mary. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and play for free now. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of the winner.